Perfect. Okay, I'll make a start. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel. I'm going to be taking you through Equatio this afternoon. Equatio is a maths and STEM toolbar that helps you in being able to create maths digitally. It also allows you to be able to access any maths, whether that's within a video, within a website, from a PDF, and be able to utilize all of those tools directly within there. Equatio works across Chrome, Windows, and Apple or Mac. So you can use it wherever. It is both an extension as well as a desktop software that can be downloaded on Windows or Mac directly. There are a range of tools available within Equatio that allow you to be able to do different things. One of the big things is being able to provide different input options when it comes to creating maths digitally. So you'll see that you have an equation editor, which is your keyboard prediction, as well as handwritten recognition, speech input, and then you've got our graphing editor and calculators as well, which I'll jump into shortly. So the first thing that we're going to have a look at is that ability for maths to be read aloud wherever you are. And so what I mean by this is just to quickly show you first, to be able to install Equatio, all you need to do is visit the TextHelp website, and I will put this into the chat for you, so that you've got the link there. So from here, all you need to do is tap Try Equatio, and then you can select either the extension version, which is Google Chrome, or Windows, which is what I'm showing you today. Once you've clicked on that Windows version, you'll see this little prompt here, and it'll prompt you to either select for Windows or Mac, depending on what device you're using. And then it'll take you through that installation process, which you'll be familiar with if you've installed other programs on your device before. Once installed, you will see this toolbar appear. You will need to make sure that you sign in using your University of Canterbury email address so that you can access the full range of tools available within here. So to show you how this works, I'm going to just jump into a website here. So you can see here that I have some different equations that are sitting here. And so what I can do using Equatio is using the screenshot reader. This will actually allow me to draw a box across that, like so. It will then scan using optical character recognition, and you'll see that I have this ability to play.
I equals the integral of d to the d power x the square root of negative g times open bracket 1 over 16 pi g times open paren r plus the fraction with numerator alpha and denominator d minus 4 script l sub g of b close paren plus script l sub ned close bracket comma.
So I can go through and access that directly. And this allows me to pull that maths out, and then I can actually take that one step further. So rather than just simply having that maths read aloud to me, I can then tap on these three dots here, which then provides the option to either copy this as LaTeX, I can copy it as MathML, I can copy it as the spoken text. I can also simply tap to edit in Equatio directly. When I do this, this will actually bring that equation in for me that I can then actually go into a document as an example here, and I can then simply tap to then insert that into my document like so. So you'll see there, that's added that into my Word doc that I've got open, and I can simply access that from there. If I go back to my website for a second, I can also just simply copy that. So as an example, if I wanted to take this one here, I could again just simply copy that, and I can copy it using that LaTeX format as well. I can come back to my Word document in here. and I can open that LaTeX editor, and you'll see that that's kept that same formatting of that problem. Equally, if I wanted to add that new one in, I would be able to go through and simply paste that in if I need to from there. So we can do that on websites. We could also do that from a YouTube video as an example. So I've got some simultaneous equations here. And so what I can do is I can use that screenshot reader, just like before. You'll see that my mouse suddenly becomes a plus sign, which essentially acts as those crosshairs. And I can draw a box across that maths like so. This will then scan it, and you'll see that I've got that ability to go and press play. Now, by default, you'll see that mine doesn't start reading straight away. And so just to jump into the options to show you, within your speech options, you can toggle on that autoplay. This just simply means that if I repeat that same process as just now, I can draw across like that, and it'll start reading it out straight away.
6 lines, line 1, x plus 2y equals 3.
And I can always stop it at any time. So I could do this from an image, a website. I can also do it within a PDF as well. And so with PDFs, remember that you've got access to the university, as part of the University of Canterbury, you have access to OrbitNote, our PDF reader and annotation tool. So when you actually add your maths and STEM-based documents through, you can use that screenshot reader, draw across that maths like so. And again, that's going to give me that ability to read it.
X squared plus 5x plus 1 equals 0.
I can tap on that edit in Equatio, which will then pull this through for me, so I can actually start to solve it if I needed to. So I could go x squared, and this is where you'll start to see our keyboard editor. So when this appears, this is what our keyboard editor looks like, and I can use those 3 dots to give me more space to solve this problem. Now, what I've typed in using my keyboard is just simply XSQ. And when I type that SQ, rather than needing to try and find the correct symbol in a little palette of certain mathematical symbols and formulas, I can actually just simply tap using my mouse on squared, and that's going to give me that perfect squared like so. I can then go through, and if I wanted to, I can finish solving that directly. I then have that ability to actually insert that directly into OrbitNote. So any PDFs that you have that ability to actually go through and insert that maths directly on that document from there as well. The other thing that I'm able to go through and do is when I'm in a document, and I'm going to switch back to my Word document in this case here, just to show you, is that I can go into that equation editor like before. And what I can also do is I can actually pull through anything that I need to. So if I wanted, say, the integral, you can see there that I can start just typing the first couple of letters, and that's going to then give me the integral to be able to add this in to my document. In a similar way, if I wanted to get that square root, I could go through, simply tap those first few letters of the word, and you'll see that several things come up. So I've not only got my mathematical symbols, but I've also got my formulas that will come through directly in here. So if I was to get the quadratic formula, QUA on my keyboard is going to then allow that quadratic formula to appear, and I can then go through and I could actually then start to solve that. So I can go back and I can amend any of these numbers, and I can substitute out any of the letters and symbols if I need to. So I've got that free reign to be able to do that. And I can insert that maths easily into my document wherever I need to be able to go in and access that. Once I've done that, again, I could use that screenshot reader to have that maths read back to me aloud from there. The important thing to know is obviously this will pull through your alt text as well. So if you are using a screen reader, you'll be able to go through and access that directly. I mentioned at the start that Equatios also covers our STEM space. So if, for example, I wanted to look at anything around chemistry, I'd be able to go through. So say we're looking at sodium, I can go through and you'll see that I have my various different sodium elements that are listed in here for me to be able to go through and find. And I can go in and simply add those in to my document or into my PDF, wherever I need to be able to insert that maths directly. In terms of your input options, you also have handwritten recognition. So as an example, if I wanted to do the square root of 64 squared, I can go through and do that. Now I'm currently just using my mouse, but if you've got a trackpad or a touch screen device, you'll be able to actually go through, use your touch screen, and you can simply drag those boxes, those 3 dots up to give you more drawing space on that canvas. If you make a mistake, just simply draw a line through and it'll simply erase that for you from there. Your other option when it comes to input is speech input. So I can do this in a similar way. 3x cubed minus 2y squared equals 8. And that will then add that maths in over here. Now, if for whatever reason, maybe this wasn't supposed to be Y and it misheard me and it was supposed to be Z, I can actually go back and change it. And if this wasn't supposed to be squared, but maybe it was supposed to be cubed, I could go back and make any amendments to this. So I can still use this working space to be able to go in and solve and recalculate anything that I need to, and I can then insert that into my document. You'll notice that when it inserts, these are being inserted as images. So at any point, I can go back. So if we use our previous problem from before, you'll notice that as long as the Equatio toolbar is open, once I've tapped onto it, so this is the toolbar open, I can tap Edit Maths, and this will then pull it back through into my editor and it's completely editable. So I can go through and make any amendments to this like so. The other thing that you've got access to within Equatio is the Desmos graphing calculator. So what this will allow me to do is to go in and simply generate a graph. And I can do this in several different ways. So one of the things that I could do is I could say, I want to show the sine of X, and I can simply go through and populate that on my graph. Say, for example, I want to show 3x, 3x plus 3, 3x plus 8. You can see there, and I can always go back and remove any of those as I'm going in and populating it. You can then insert that again into my document. I could do it in my PDF, again, just depending on where you're working and what you need it to be able to do for you. You also have the ability using Desmos's graphing calculator to actually go through and add a table. So as an example, if I just clear these out for a second, say, for example, I was comparing the results of certain things. So maybe for every 1, there are 3 points. For every 2, there are 7. For every 3, there are 9. And for every 4, there are 6. What you'll notice is that those plots are then added onto my graph. And I have that ability to actually change whether it's on a grid, how minor those grid lines are. And I can also go through and amend my axis, my X and Y axis directly from there to be able to go in and insert that within my document like so. The other thing that you've got access to within Equatio are our STEM tools. So our STEM tools cover 3 main areas. We have our Desmos scientific calculator. So if you quickly need to be able to format something, so if I take my previous example, 64 squared, I can go through the square root, of 64. I can go in and simply use that to populate any of my information, and that's going to then generate that answer for me. Equally, if I'm doing anything with trigonometry, I've got that ability to go in and simply start to solve those from there. The other things that you've got as part of your STEM tools include the periodic table. So I've got quick access to this, so I can tap on any of those elements. This is going to give you a blurb to give a short definition or example of what that element is, and it's also going to provide you with the number and the mass of that element. So I can go through and I can click on any of these, and that's going to make those changes and allow me to access that. If I need to go through and start to put that into a formula, I can always go back and add that to my equation editor. Just be mindful that when you do that, it is just simply going to add it. So in this case, it's added it to my existing. So I might just want to go back and delete that from there as well. The other thing that you've also got access to is our molecular viewer. So this will allow you to search for any molecules. So as an example, if I was to search for caffeine, this will then give me that ability to actually look at it from a cross perspective. I can look at it as sphere, and this is completely editable, and I can position it, I could zoom in, I can zoom out, and I'm able to do that depending on what it is that I'm looking for. I can also search just simply using the short name for those molecules as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention from your graphing, the equation editor, is that when you are going through, if I come back in, I'm just going to take that earlier example that we did up here. I can go through and come back to any of these problems that I need to, but I've also got advanced layouts. So if there are certain things that you're looking at, so maybe you're doing matrices, or if you're going into calculus, you have these layouts that are available, but you could also favorite these layouts so that you can quickly draw upon them to be able to go back to. So if there's certain layouts and formulas that you need to use, save them to your favorites, and then they'll appear here. And at any time, I can quickly call on that and it'll appear there for you directly. So the last little thing that I wanted to just jump in and show you is where all of our resources sit when it comes to Equatio. So all of our training resources sit within our TextHelp Academy. So again, I'll paste that link into the chat for you. Once you come in to here, simply select on Equatio, and then all I'm going into is this feature tool section here. This contains 2-minute videos that show you how each tool works. So if I wanted to see how I can use the speech input, if I want to understand the LaTeX editor, I can go in, and this is going to give me a short 2-minute video introducing how that tool works. Some of you will have noticed that I have skipped over one of the tools, which is our mobile tool. Essentially what this will allow you to do, I'm not going to showcase it today just because I need to use several screens to be able to do this, but just to be able to show you very quickly, our Equatio mobile tool, this allows you to tap onto that mobile icon that you can see at the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to hide this for a second. And you can then scan that QR code. Now, what this will do is it'll take your phone or tablet device to a web browser, which will then allow you to actually take a photo of any maths that you've created with pen to paper. And it'll allow you to then actually OCR scan it directly. So you can see here on the right-hand side, that second screen is actually going to m.equatio.io, or you can scan that QR code. This will then prompt you to sign in. So again, just make sure you use that University of Canterbury email address once you've signed in. And I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit. You'll see there, it'll prompt you with any active documents that you have open. Once you've selected that, it'll then come up with this little window here. When you tap onto the camera, that's going to then give you that ability to take a photo of that. So I'm just going to switch to the part where the camera actually comes through. Here we go. So you can see there, I've got some written maths on the screen there, some handwritten maths, and then I'm just simply using my phone or my tablet device to be able to take a photo of that. That will then scan it, and you can either choose to convert your handwritten maths into that digital maths, or you can keep it in your handwriting. So if your lecturer requires you to submit it as your work, you can see there you have that ability to save it as an image. It just will allow you to actually keep that traditional format of the maths directly and add it into your document or your notes directly from there. So I'm going to stop there and just see if there are any questions following today's session. Please feel free to either unmute or pop any questions that you do have into the chat.